Hello Plus League fans, you're watching the Kuan and Ryan Show. It's time to start introducing the teams in Group B who the new Taipei Kings will face. Let's start off with the team from the PBA, the Meralco Bolts. They started in 2010 and they have so far, when we're recording this, have played one game against the Ryukyu Golden Kings back on November 15th in the East Asia Super League. A game which they actually led in the first quarter, but the Kings outclassed them for the rest of the way, Kuan.
Yeah, I think going off that game, I think the most important thing for the Bolts this year is that so far they only have one import. So that's going to be a huge factor in terms of their competitiveness. And their sole import right now, Prince Ibei, Taiwanese fans should be very familiar with. He used to play for the DEA for T1. So I think watching that game, some fans will probably recognize that face.
That's true. And actually that kind of changed their defensive strategy because they were double teaming almost every single time when the Kings were on offense. And so that actually created a lot of easy shots for the Kings on the outside, which they're known for. Yeah,
and going kind of transitioning to this because the Bolts actually had a coaching change this off season. So from what I heard, at least, they're sort of in a play style transition period. They're trying to move towards a more Eurocentric offense, a lot of back screens, a lot of staggers. But just based off the one game sample size, honestly, I don't see it yet. You look at their assist at 11, turnover at 8. That's not your typical, when you talk about Euro basketball, that's not it. And they only shot 8 threes a game.
I think that's the biggest thing that's not European about their first game.
So yeah, they're obviously still figuring things out.
And actually, from observations of their box scores from the PBA, which they are currently 2 wins and 1 losses, tied for second place, they only get about 27 points per game from their bench. So as of right now, it's kind of a starter-heavy kind of team for the time being. Who's kind of their leader on that squad?
Yeah, I would say let's talk local first. So Chris Newsom, I think, would be the most recognizable name. He's been with the team for a while now. If you watched last year's PBA Governor's Cup, he was a standout. He's kind of the only guy local-wise that can create off the dribble for other guys. The other guy I would bring up would be Cliff Hodge. From what I know, he's kind of the heart and soul of the team. He's more of a defensive-minded player. So these two are kind of the staples on the team.
Okay. Well, there's actually a little bit of synergy going on between the Bolts and the Ryukyu Golden Kings because Alan Durham actually used to play for the Bolts between 2016 and 2020, I think, on and off because of conferences and the different import rules. But now he's a member of the Kings. We'll get to them eventually, but I feel like we can also keep on extending on our conversation about Filipino basketball, how I do get a sense that there's a lot more free flow to their offense in terms of when guys can cut or when the guys are going to have 2 or 3 man action, as opposed to very, organized sets of basketball, very thorough, maybe like teams in Japan.
Right, I think, yeah, like you said, I think this is kind of a brand basketball thing in that Filipino basketball is just more, I want to say untamed. Maybe that's not the right word, but I think untamed comes to mind. And when you mention a lot of 2-man game, a lot of cuts, I think that is, in the Bolts case, them trying to figure out the new coaching system and the new play style. So, yeah, I think both could be true at the same time.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, interestingly enough, Taiwanese fans get to see the Meralco Bolts soon enough. On November 29th, they'll be actually coming to Xinjiang Gymnasium to play the new Taipei Kings, who are, as of this recording, 1 win and 0 losses. They've been looking pretty strong. So that'll be exciting. We also, now that games are going on, we can kind of talk about what the atmosphere was like at home. And I was in the attendance, and I thought maybe it wasn't a full house, but I feel like the volume was way up, the energy was really high. I think Taiwanese fans have done a great job showing out in the international competition so far.
Yeah, and honestly, not just Taiwanese fans, because there are a lot of, whether you talk about Koreans, I'm sure Filipino as well, there are a lot of fans of different nationality that reside in Taiwan that show out in those games as well. We saw against the SK9 for the Kings game, their first home game, that there were some Korean fans that were holding up Korean jerseys and stuff like that. So that was pretty nice. I think that is why, or that's what the competition is going for anyways.
Yeah, and only with 6 games in the East Asia Super League regular seasons, every single game really matters. And so with only 3 Braves home games, 3 Kings home games, it's really important that everyone marks it down on their calendars and shows up and shows their support. Hopefully help our teams from the Plus League win out.
Yeah, get your tickets, get your tickets.
All right, I think that does it for this episode of the Kuan and Ryan Show. Thank you for watching. If you like the content, be sure to leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe to follow along.